I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, September the 28th, brought to you in part by VitaFerm, by Biozyme. VitaFerm has 7 different products that have a Lucky 7 sticker on the bag. If you're a winner, you'll find a token in that bag, and through December the 20th, you can redeem that token for one of 4 different prizes, including caps, gift cards, and cash. For more information, go to VitaFerm.com. Pray for Florida. The latest tracking is showing that Hurricane Ian is going to land somewhere between Tampa and Fort Myers, Florida, and come in with some severe force, at least Category 3. And it's not going to back off that much as it cuts across Florida and heads back to the east there. And it's going to go across some significant cattle production areas there. It's looking like it's going to go right north of Okeechobee, Florida. Of course, we know about the big feeder market that they have in Okeechobee. There's a lot of cattle production in that area. It's going to be severe flooding in that area, severe windstorms, and basically it's going to be almost as strong as it is right there on the coast as it goes across, and then pick up more force as it gets to the east coast there. But we just pray for those producers, pray for everybody in that area. We hope the loss of life and loss of cattle is not any more significant than we fear. But just keep Florida in your prayers here as that big storm hits that area here today, middle of the week. But looking at your market, suddenly light steers are falling on hard times. And we've mentioned that it's mostly due to continued drought in your hard red winter wheat region with no relief in sight. I mean, the weather's been nice, but just no moisture at all. Just kind of normal temperatures and sunshine. But if we don't get some rain on this wheat crop here pretty darn soon, we're not gonna have any wheat grazing prospects this fall. A lot of people have already given up on any wheat grazing prospects this fall. They think if we do get some moisture here this fall, maybe they'll be able to turn out, you know, sometime late in December or January or something like that. But it has really affected your market on lightweight steer calves and heifer calves too, but a lot of those guys like to buy steers and background them and then maybe take them on to grass later. But boy, it's getting hard to sell them. We saw Oklahoma City sell those lightweight steers, you know, $10 to $15 lower. Saw similar markets like that in Joplin Regional Stockyards. The only place that we're seeing your lightweight peewee calves selling really good is where you have some local demand. Those guys that have a little bit of grass or maybe have some hay saved up. But for you guys that have feed, and I don't care what form it's in, if you've got some silage, if you've got some hay, if you have any grazing, I don't know what the heck it would be because it's been dry everywhere where you graze cattle. But if you've got any feed at all, any forage, any hay, take advantage of that. Put some cheap pounds on some light cattle. They're going to be worth a lot of money. They're worth a lot of money right now, and it's only going to get higher as we go forward and we get into tighter and tighter numbers of cattle of all classes, but especially stocker and feeder cattle. Take the opportunity to help yourself and make some money. Yearling feeders are still selling well despite high cost of gains. And we saw some impressive quotes on yearling steers and heifers, especially those weighing up into, you know, in the heavier weights there, 9, getting them closer to where they need to be. But they're going to fill what little space we have in your feedlots with those yearling cattle, because it's just not going to take as much feed to get them to a finished weight. But these lighter weight cattle is going to be no place to go with them. If we don't get some rain here in a big hurry, you know, even if you've still got a little bit of grass, it's getting cool enough now that it's not going to help the grass at all. It would help the wheat, but we just can't get any moisture in those hard red winter wheat grazing areas. Talk about your board. On Tuesday, October live cattle futures up 10 cents at 143.57. December down 45 cents at 146.90. Back months on your live cattle from down 60 cents to down $1.12. September feeder cattle down 117 at 175.70. Now we're seeing our cash feeders selling or averaging at a premium to what your September spot board is, and it's just about done there, and it's just trying to get aligned with what the index levels are. Could be up just a little bit here on Wednesday, trying to back into the spot where it's very, very close to what those cash index levels are. October down 95 cents at 176.12. We're seeing all those nearby contracts on feeder cattle, September, October, and November, all basically at the same price level. I mean, 3 months there of feeder cattle contracts going into the fall of the year, trading within 57 cents of each other. You just don't see that happen very often. Your back months of feeder cattle contracts down 77 to down $1.27. Corn and beans have finally settled in here to a typical type of a harvest reaction. We're just waiting to see what the final results of harvest are. We're right in the middle of it right now, and we're not seeing the wide swings. Of course, we'll probably see that now middle of the week since I said that, but they've been fairly calm here for the last several sessions. Corn on Tuesday was up $1.25 a bushel at 667.5. That's on December new crop. Beans for November down 3.25 cents at 14.08. Talk about your fat cattle trade. We're starting to see your fat cattle market get established here, and it's earlier in the week this week. I think your packers are fairly short bought and they're fairly aggressive, and they're starting to buy cattle at steady money already. We were kind of thinking going into this week with the highest prices paid at the tail end of last week, and your packers acting like they were pretty aggressive by buying significantly more negotiated cattle last week than they had for the previous weeks, that we would see them come out and maybe give more money. But with your board not responding well, and just kind of the atmosphere here with economic news, the dryness and all this, that steady is looking kind of like what it's going to be this week, which is a little bit disappointing. We didn't see anything out of Colorado. Of course, that's confidential. Iowa had 800 head confirmed on Tuesday at 145. I heard later in the day they may have traded some dressed cattle at 228, but it wasn't confirmed on the USDA report. Nebraska didn't have any sales at all. Maybe they're going to dig in and try to get a little bit more, especially if they've got some cattle that are well finished and going to grade, quality grade really high. They could get more for the cattle if they get together, ask for it, and hold their guns. But Southern Plains is pretty much already caved at steady money at 143. Of course, they gained $1 last week, and so they're not completely disgusted with that. Kansas, 4,600 head confirmed on Tuesday at 143, and Texas, 3,300 head on a Tuesday at 143. I asked you guys again, why do packers come out aggressively bidding early in the week? Because they need cattle. Talk about your box beef cutout values. We're about to find a bottom here seasonally for box beef cutout values. Does that mean the packers are going to be easier to deal with and get more money from as we establish that and start crawling back upwards? I doubt it. But seasonally, we're about to hit a low here, and it's kind of looking like a spot where it's struggling to find a bottom and a place to kind of hang out. But choice cuts on Tuesday afternoon were up 59 cents at 248.43, but selects down 214 at 221.21. Your slaughter's running at a good pace still, and we're expecting packers to slow the change speeds down. We usually don't see the results of that till the tail end of the week whenever they back off on Saturday kills. But just through the first 2 days of this week, 253,000 harvested. That's just 2,000 less than the big week last week and 15,000 more than the same week a year ago. Talk about what else is going on. K-State's Beef Stalker Day, which is a real popular event for people in the Midwest that would like to learn more about stalker and feeder cattle and just beef in general. And Dr. Dale Blasey does such a great job there at K-State. He runs that stalker program there at the stalker unit. It's going to be Thursday, guys, just tomorrow, on Thursday, September the 29th. It's going to be a full day of good speakers there. A lot of people getting together and meeting new contacts and hooking up with old friends and meeting new friends and learning more about the industry, learning about efficiencies, learning about health, learning about ways to get through the shortage of grain and forage and things like that. Going to have a big nut fry there after the meetings are over with refreshments. It's a good opportunity for fellowship with fellow cattlemen here tomorrow, Thursday, at your K-State Beef Stalker Day. Talk about your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on DV auction late in the day on Tuesday sitting at 176.20. That's down 16 cents. And I would say your market's still continuing lower, but on Tuesdays, which your real-time index is current and up to date there, we see some big kind of regional type sales on Tuesday, and they have some pretty impressive quotes, and I'm going to give you several impressive quotes from the day on Tuesday, but check those out. Coming to you here from Northern California, gave a talk on Tuesday afternoon at Montague, gave a talk at noon at Chico State to a young farmers group there, and people are well engaged. They're very interested in learning more. That they're curious about what's going on in the 5-area feeding region, and just hungry for knowledge. And we've got another presentation, Klamath Falls, Oregon, on Wednesday, and also Alturas, California there before we head back to home here later in the week. But let's talk about your big sales on Tuesday. Ozarks Regional Stockyard, West Plains, Missouri, had 2,300 head through the ring. They had another 500 plus go through their in-house video sale that they do with help from dvauction.com. They're a DV Auction broadcasting customer there. We get their information here also. My buddy Dan Hill, the market reporter, does a good job there, and he called your lightweight steer calves there in West Plains selling $4 to $8 higher, and those would be on your real peewee steers. And I just told you earlier that they've been falling on hard times, but Ozarks Regional Stockyard is one of the few places where they sold lightweight steer calves higher. And I said, what was the deal there? And he said, there's some producers here that have a little bit of grass, some of them that saved up hay, even old hay. They see an opportunity to take some of those lightweights, put some weight on them, and as we get further into the fall, they know there's still going to be a lot of demand, especially once they get them weaned and straightened out. So he said it was local buyers that was doing that. Heavier weight steers and all weights of heifers were very uneven, from $4 lower to $4 higher. They did have a stick-out sale and a long string of yearlings there in West Plains. 227 head, 921-pound steers brought $174. That's a big quote there, guys. How about Beaver County Stockyards? They had a big sale on Tuesday. Over 3,800 head of feeders, plus a good run of cows there. Well over 4,000 head of cattle. They're in no man's land, Oklahoma Panhandle. You look at this automated market report through Cattle Market Central with DV Auction, and you can tell that in your best tested weight groups, it was mostly $2 to $4 higher, with the exception of 4-weight steers and 9-weight steers, and they sold $2 to $3 lower. But you look at the best tested weights, you see 356 head of 4-weight steers in Beaver, Oklahoma, average 468 with a weighted average price of $196.38. 575 head of 5-weight steers, average 553 with a weighted average price on all of them at $188.15. 242 head of 6-weight steers in Beaver, average 641 at $171.29. And all these 8-weight steers, 751 head of them, averaged $852 with a weighted average price of $178.23, and that was a couple $3 higher there, guys. 241 head of 9-weight steers in Beaver, averaged $953 with a weighted average price of $170.85. Give you a few individual quotes. How about Bluegrass Stockyard, Lexington, Kentucky? They had a lot of big strings of cattle, but I found this big string of Holstein steers to be kind of interesting and thought I'd share that quote with you. But a long string of Holstein steers, which we don't see your traditional Holstein steers that often anymore. We usually see the half-bloods, but out east and in the upper Midwest we still see Holstein steers. 107 head of Holsteins, weighed 965 and $139. That's roughly $20 to $25 back of regular cattle there, guys. They don't convert as well, and it's hard to find a place to kill them. How about Unionville Livestock Market? Kurt Sporleader there had a really good sale, an impressively good sale there. Rockin' R out of Lucerne, Missouri there had 3 loads of yearling steers in there. They weighed from 830 to 845. They bring 180.75 to 182.10. But the Landrum steers in there were a bit heavier and brought a bit more money. Likely a little bit greener there, but Landrum steers weighed from 845 to 880 pounds, bring from 185.85 to 188.50, and the 188.50 was on the heavier load of steers that weighed 880, which is kind of curious there. How about Glacial Lakes Livestock Market in Watertown, South Dakota? DV auction customer, have really good quotes out of there. 58 steers weighed 923 at $184. How about Atkinson Livestock Market, Atkinson, Nebraska? Your old reliable there on the Yellow Brick Road sells 85 steers, weighs 640 pounds at $215.50. But your Zoetis stick-out sale of the day was in Kimball, South Dakota at Kimball Livestock Exchange. Had 4,300 feeders there. Some of the highest quotes that I've seen for quite a while here. Look at your best tested weights, and it was on your bigger feeders there, as you see. 986 head of 8-weight steers in Kimball, South Dakota. Wow. That averaged 843 with a weighted average price on nearly 1,000 of them at $191.37. My goodness. 372 head of 9-weight steers, averaged 909 at $177.67. Look at some heifers. 472 head of 8-weight heifers in Kimball, South Dakota. They averaged 853 with a weighted average price of $174.99. That's impressive. And 706 head of 9-weight heifers. That's impressive in itself. Averaged 969 with a weighted average price of $164.49. Also had the best quote that I saw anywhere on Tuesday. Your Mackerson, no BS, top quote for the day, come out of Kimball Livestock Exchange. It was the Jim Waring steers, 339 head of them in one drive, weighed 820 pounds at $194.25. And that's your feeder flash for Wednesday.